What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fantasy John podcast, where we talk fantasy football throughout the year, throughout the off season, throughout the season. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about today. What in the world is going on with Pittsburgh? The Pittsburgh Steelers in real life are an average to good team that, behind Mike Tomlin, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a competitive football team. But when it comes to fantasy football, over the last few years, what are they doing? Their offense has become stale. It's become predictable. It's become inconsistent. They lack the quarterback play to support, fantasy receivers and just, people on their team for fantasy football. And everybody, DK Metcalf got traded to the Steelers. And at first it was before George Pickens, you're like, okay, you got DK Metcalf and George Pickens. But George Pickens gets traded. Me personally, I believe they should have kept him, but I'm seeing reports that Mike Tomlin didn't want it. He wanted to trade him, so he got rid of him. But you look at the quarterback situation, and they've been rumored to be in a run-in for certain quarterbacks. I've heard Kirk Cousins. I've heard Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers more predominantly. But it's like during the draft, they drafted Will Howard. A lot of people thought they could have been in the running for Shedeur Sanders, but they passed on Shedeur. But it's like, when it comes to fantasy football, for DK Metcalf just in general, it's a great wide receiver. Good to great wide receiver in the NFL. He's the number one wide receiver in Pittsburgh, but how can I really believe in DK Metcalf as the number one wide receiver in Pittsburgh? The Pittsburgh Steelers, along with the New York Jets, whose offenses are just shaky over the last few years, is do I believe that Will Howard, if he wins the starting job, if they don't pick up nobody else, can support DK Metcalf? No, I don't. Is DK Metcalf draftable? Yes. But I think people have to temper expectations for DK Metcalf this year, especially with the Steelers. They got Mike Tomlin. I believe they still have Arthur Smith as their coordinator, who, in my opinion, for fantasy football, is horrible. When you're drafting a team and Arthur Smith is your offensive coordinator, it might benefit the run game, but just overall, it's not going to benefit anything else. So it's why am I drafting DK Metcalf? My bold prediction is DK Metcalf is going to suck this year. I'm not saying I won't draft him. He's still DK Metcalf. I believe he's going to have splash games to win you some weeks, but I don't see it with the Steelers of being a consistent wide receiver run for your fantasy football team. I just really don't see it. So it's I know a lot of people are still going to draft DK Metcalf. I could be wrong. But when we're going to look back in this video when the season over, and we're going to see if I was right or not. DK Metcalf, if you're in a deep league, you got extra flex spots or 3 wide receiver sets, you can have DK Metcalf as either your wide receiver 2 or 3, or even just a flex spot. But I just don't see it. I'm not confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And then you have now as their depth chart, I believe it's DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin. I believe Calvin Austin is going to suck again. I mean, he's not really usable for fantasy football. But, he could have a breakout. You just never know. But it all depends on the quarterback situation. Now, if they get Aaron Rodgers, I'll be okay, DK Metcalf, I have more to look forward to with DK Metcalf. But even that, it's just I don't know. I don't see it. I can't, I just don't see it with DK Metcalf. If you comment, if you disagree or agree, whatever, just let me know. But I don't see it. DK Metcalf is if I had to choose between DK Metcalf and let's say Michael Pittman, I probably would still choose Michael Pittman over DK Metcalf. And I don't even feel great about the Colts offense. But it's I definitely don't feel great about the Steelers offense. The only valuable pieces that I believe are in the Steelers offense that can warrant consideration of being, a good piece for your fantasy team is Jaylen Warren, maybe Pat Freiermuth, because I do believe if you start Will Howard, I do believe he's going to throw it to Metcalf and he's going to give him his targets. But I feel like Pat Freiermuth is probably the biggest beneficiary because he's starting a rookie quarterback. Usually they tend to dump off to their tight ends. So, I mean, he might have that value on that standpoint alone, but we don't know what Will Howard's going to do. And we don't know the quarterback situation of the Steelers. I'm not sure what the Steelers are trying to do. It's like they're trying to, like the Steelers are a team in purgatory right now. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but until they get their quarterback situation fixed and get it resolved, until somebody can show something, it's like, stay away from that Steelers offense. That's how I look at it. Like, I'm staying away from that Steelers offense. I'm not saying these guys can't be drafted, but there's other players that I'll probably rather draft over DK Metcalf based on how the ADP shakes out. So it's just my little rant. Like, if you're drafting DK Metcalf, cool, but when it comes to me personally, I'll draft him, but I'm not jumping out the window to draft him. Like, not in the first 3 rounds, probably not. No, I'm cool. I think DK Metcalf is probably going to be a huge disappointment for next season. And that's right now, that's based on if the quarterback situation stays the same at the moment. If they, sign Aaron Rodgers or even maybe trade for Kirk Cousins, I'll probably have a little bit more faith. But the Steelers need a bona fide quarterback. They haven't had a bona fide quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. And it hurts. It hurts fantasy, it hurts just from a fantasy football perspective. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. But like and subscribe, comment if you agree with me or not. Tell me why you don't agree with me. And make sure you follow my Facebook page, Broad Street Bullies Fantasy Football. I commission pay leagues. If we have spots open, if you say that you seen the channel on YouTube and you want a spot on in a league, I do IDP leagues, PPR leagues, Superflex. I do 2 QB leagues. So yeah, but that's all I really gotta say. Basically, be wary of the Steelers and DK Metcalf. That's my opinion. My bold prediction, if I'm going to make a bold prediction, is that DK Metcalf is going to suck this year. All right, I'm out.